Welcome to our session on study abroad finances and how to make study abroad affordable for you. We have several expert presenters today. Whoa, not that expert, I guess. I'm Cathy Caine. I'm a project specialist with International Programs and Services, which is the parent to Study Abroad. And also with us is Kim Hurst. She's the office administrator in our office. And our special guest today from One Stop is Theresa Orso, our one-stop counselor who's right on the cutting edge of financial aid. So we're going to just dig right in. We're going to make this really informal, and we'll just be willing to take, boy, I'm out of control on my slides here.
You're not screen sharing, Cathy.
I'm not. Sorry. Okay, we're going to get it done. Here, I thought I was being amazing. Okay.
There you go.
So I'm going to go back one so you can see, there we are. Cathy, Kim, and Theresa here. Okay, so a few rules, reminders, and tips before we get going. As I said, we're going to be pretty informal here, but the session's being recorded. You can change your name if you choose on your screen by using the little 3 dots on the upper right corner of your picture. Use speaker view for the best results to be able to see the share screen as well as the speaker. And if you turn your mic off now, and then we'll take questions in the chat throughout. And at the end, feel free to turn your screen and your mic on, and we'll have discussion and answer any questions that you might have. So with that going forward, this is our brief agenda for this presentation. Kim's going to talk a little bit about using budgeting and finding the best financial way to select a program. This is looking at how to choose a program from the financial side. Everybody has great dreams and wishes about going to exotic places, but we're going to try to keep it real here, and we are going to look at program selections based on costs of living, and comparing programs to programs, and also how to budget if you can get to that dream location. Then secondly, we're going to go into finances. Theresa's going to talk about how financial aid applies. And then we'll talk a little bit about scholarships and what you can expect for billing. So with that said, we'll get going, and at any time, don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat.
All right, so I'll get started with program selection and budgeting. I'll start sharing my screen. We're actually going to go to our website. Our website has a lot of really great resources. And so the first place where you will see the cost of a program is actually on the program page. And you get there by going to search programs. And then you'll have to hit search programs again. And so these are all of our program pages. And we do have a few different types of programs. So we have programs through UMD, we have direct study programs and exchange programs and faculty-led programs, and then we have programs through our co-sponsors and affiliates. And all the program pages will look the same, but the little estimated costs section is a little different. So first we'll look at a UMD program. This will be the exchange in Sweden. And if you scroll down, you get to the estimated program cost. And so the estimated program cost is made up of the program fee, which varies widely depending on the program. And this program fee can include a lot of different things. So if they are around the same price, they could still include different things. So for this one, for example, has an international buddy program that's specific to this program. Some programs might have airport pickup and drop off. Other ones might have excursions included. So here you can really see what's included in that program fee. Then for estimated out-of-pockets, if you click on the total estimated cost, it'll bring you to another sheet which really breaks out the estimated out-of-pockets. And those really are dependent on the cost of living. So cost of living can really affect like room and board, local transportation, personal expenses while abroad. All of those things will depend on the country you're in. For example, Sweden, it has a lower cost of living. So this is one of our more affordable options. So that's where you can really see the breakdown, but these are estimates, remember, and if you're someone who eats out a lot or buys coffee out of the house a lot, your estimate might be a little more. If you don't do any of that ever, it might be a little less than this, so just remember these are estimates. So now let's go look at a co-sponsor program or an affiliate program. And we'll look at Brisbane, Australia. That's a co-sponsored program through ISA. So this program page is going to look the same. All of our program pages look the same, except when you get down to costs, you'll see that we don't have the equation and a hyperlink to that other sheet. It's just the program cost you'll have to find on the affiliate's website, on the provider's website, and they'll have information about what their program fee includes. And then on top of that, there'll also be our study abroad fee, international insurance, and an ITSS internet access fee. And then a lot of our co-sponsor programs offer a discount, and you'll see that here. So for example, this one has $500 discount, and that'll give your estimated total cost. But there will also be those out-of-pocket expenses that you have to remember about, and it's important to remember those. So I'll show you our website where you can learn a little bit more about those differences too. So here you can click on UMD program cost information, and it'll break down again what's in that program fee for a UMD program. So the ITSS, that study abroad fee, is going to be included in the program fee, and then those out-of-pockets. And then for the co-sponsor program costs, it's going to tell you this equation and some more information down here. And I would like to point out that you're not paying foreign tuition and UMD tuition. So that's just important to remember. It's not like you're paying double. So we are going to be launching a new document that is going to be super helpful. It will be in this tab. It's not currently here yet, but this is probably where it will live on our website. But I'll pull up that document just to show you, give you a little sneak peek. So we created this document. It's estimated costs from fall 2019 and spring 2020, and it's the total estimated cost. So that's including our estimates for out-of-pocket. And so we broke them into categories. So these are more affordable options. You can see Sweden's on there. And then if you scroll down, you'll see some of our higher cost programs. So that Australia, Brisbane one we looked at, Christchurch, those are some of our higher programs. So this is just going to be a really helpful document that we will eventually have on our website, so that you can just really compare financially the programs. Another helpful document that we have on this financial planning page is our budget worksheet. And this is also on all of the program pages at the very bottom. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to this document that breaks down your budget even more. So you can put in your application fee, your program fee, your airfare cost, entertainment that you plan to do abroad, gifts you plan to bring home, banking fees, all of that you can put in here. And then you can also enter in what kind of family contributions you're getting, your savings, scholarships, and that'll give you a net cost. So this is just a really helpful document to know about to help budget. And yeah, definitely check this out. We also, for budgeting, talked with some of our peer advisors, and I'm sure they'd love to give you even more tips. You can contact them here under Meet Our Peer Advisors, but just as a brief little budget tips that they wanted me to mention to you guys are to make a bucket list before you go and figure out what you really want to do while you're abroad and see how much that would cost you and how much you'll need to save up before you go. Another tip was to get into the mindset that you'll be going abroad. So instead of going out every weekend, go hiking, do something more affordable, and make your food at home rather than going out. That's all money you could save so that you can spend it while you're abroad doing adventures abroad. Some other tips they had were to just do typical fundraising, start a crowdfunding website, and share it with people on Facebook and Nextdoor, so that those people have an opportunity to donate too, because not everyone's on Instagram or Twitter. Another thing they wanted me to mention is to look into credit cards and ones that have low or no international transaction fees, save you a little bit of money there. And then also look at their perks. If there's a cash back rewards program, look at that with credit cards too. But then while abroad, they had some tips about traveling in groups. That way you can split some of the costs, accommodation especially, or even meals out. Or stay in hostels instead of hotels. Hostels will sometimes have meals included. They might have some little activities included, so look into those. And then they also said while you're abroad, you can cook at home too. And a lot of them mentioned that they got together with their international friends while abroad, locals from abroad, and they all made a meal and shared an international potluck, which I thought was a neat idea. It also saves you from eating out all the time. And lastly, they just wanted me to mention that student discounts exist abroad as well. So always carry your ID, and maybe you'll get some discounts for a museum entry or 10% off your meal. So just really check those out. But that's all I have for my portion. Cathy, did you have any questions in the chat?
No, we didn't get any questions in the chat. I just wanted to reemphasize what Kim said about tuition, so you can understand better this next section about financial aid and billing. So you don't pay UMD tuition when you're on a semester or academic year program. You have a program fee that's billed to your UMD student account in place of tuition. So now I'm going to hand it over to Theresa, and she's going to talk about how financial aid applies to study abroad. Theresa?
Thanks, Cathy. With financial aid for study abroad, we want to help you with any questions you have and welcome you to our office. The best thing to know in advance is what your costs are, and use those tools that are available to you that Kim has shared. We know that a lot of students, when you study abroad, the cost can be covered by your student loans, whether they're federal loans or your state or Pell Grant or other grants that we award, as well as scholarships. Because you study abroad fall and spring, or just fall or spring or summer, those scholarships normally are available to use during fall and spring, but not so much in summer. But the study abroad folks will go through the many scholarship opportunities that you have available through the study abroad office and affiliates and so forth. The FAFSA application is key to applying for financial aid, just as it is during while you're here at UMD, on campus or virtually. If you are attending study abroad during summer's the end of our academic year, so we still use the same FAFSA that they already completed for fall and spring. And many students find that if you have not already used your federal loans, that you can certainly use those during the summer, as long as you're taking 6 credits or more. And during fall, spring, or even summer, may run out of federal funds, and there are other options. There's many different private education loans that you can apply for, and they would need a cosigner normally. If your parent would prefer, they can also apply for a Parent Plus loan. It's a loan that's in their name to help cover your expenses.
Thanks, Theresa.
Thank you.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about another financial aid tool that's available to you, and that's our Study Abroad Deferred Payment Program that we just started last year. I'm going to do a screen share of our website so you can see where you can find all this information. So under our finances tab on the Study Abroad webpage, we can look at financial aid that Theresa just went over. And also here is our Study Abroad Deferred Payment Program. The Deferred Payment Program is a great tool for students with financial needs. So that's the initial requirement, is an EFC of $15,000 or less. So if you financially qualify, the Study Abroad Deferred Payment Program can help you cover those costs that you need to pay out of pocket before your program begins. So your program, for example, begins in fall, you get billed and you get your financial aid at the beginning of the semester. But ahead of that, you may need to buy your airfare to get there. You may need to make deposits on your housing. So this program covers those costs for you. And then they're billed to you when your financial aid is released. No interest, it's just a great tool. And the important thing to remember is that you have to be sure to apply early, before your program deadline ends, if you're interested in this option. And you will need to have a meeting with your program coordinator here in Study Abroad office, and also with financial aid, who will go over the form with you, and we'll make sure everything's sewn up before the semester begins. So if you're interested in that, you can find more information on our webpage here under the Deferred Payment Program. So also, while we're here, let's talk a little bit about scholarships. There are a lot of scholarships available out there to help you with your study abroad programming. And the first one I want to touch on is our UMD scholarship. On our scholarship webpage, you'll see a whole wealth of information about available scholarships, and the top one is our UMD Study Abroad Scholarship. And we award over $80,000 every year to students that are interested in studying abroad. You don't need to have already selected your program to apply for the scholarship, but it can be helpful. But it's a great time to start thinking now about your scholarship applications and where you can apply. So in order to be eligible for the UMD Study Abroad program, you have to be a degree-seeking student here at UMD, and you have to participate in a UMD or a University of Minnesota Twin Cities or one of our affiliate programs. And your program has to require a passport. So in other words, you have to be getting out of the country. We have application periods based on when you want to study abroad. Right now, we're in this period here where students are applying to study abroad for winter, spring, or the calendar year next year. And then we'll have another session coming up for May or summer programs, and then one for next fall and academic year. So these, you can apply for any of these right now. They're all open, and you can fill out your application whenever it's convenient for you. So I just wanted to take a look at, share with you what the application looks like. This is the information I basically just shared with you about when and where and how. And here is the application. It is pretty straightforward and easy. The one thing I want to talk briefly about is the application essay, because this is the guts of the application. The entire scoring of your scholarship application is based on this essay. It's not about financial need. It's more about how the study abroad program is important to you and your future. So the 3 questions here that you have to answer in your essay are: why did you select your program? Why are you a good candidate to receive the award? And how will your study abroad experience contribute to your long-range plans? And you only have 300 words to concisely address those 3 things for the scholarship committee. And these are the only things that are scored on your application. So it's important to think about it ahead of time, maybe craft your answer ahead of time or consult with the writer's workshop to figure out the best way to get your thoughts shared on that essay question. So again, I just want to mention that make sure you apply during the proper period. If you apply during the wrong period, it's not going to be scored and you'll have to reapply again. So make sure you're hitting the right period. So that one application awards all of these scholarships. It's a great online tool. You can complete it whenever it's convenient for you. And after about 3 weeks, you'll have your answer if you have been awarded a study abroad scholarship. There's also a couple other UMD opportunities listed down at the bottom of the page. And then there's also all of these other scholarship opportunities and resources that are available through our webpage that you can peruse and find out what best would apply for you. So there's funds out there, a lot of funds. Might have to do a little legwork, but you can get some money. So any questions about scholarships, or before we move on to billing? We'll just touch briefly on billing and then open it up to Q&A.
There's no questions in the chat at this time.
Okay, so let's take a look at the billing webpage, and this will give us some basic information about how study abroad program fees are billed. So it's important that you know before you go, know your costs, and also know what's going to show up on your account, know what you have to pay there, know what you have to pay beforehand. So that's all available to you. You just have to do your homework and figure it out. So you won't be paying UMD tuition, as we mentioned. You will have study abroad fees on your account, and they will go on your account at the same time that UMD tuition for that semester goes on your account, and at the same time when financial aid is released onto your account. So if you're going to go on fall, you'll see those fees at the start of the semester, just like you have in the past. And they will be on the same payment schedule as they have with UMD tuition. If you're studying abroad with a co-sponsor, there may be additional fees that are not covered and put on your UMD account. Those would usually be if you're getting upgrades on your rooms or upgrade meal plans or things. But all the standard fees, even for co-sponsored programs, are put on your UMD student account. So that makes it helpful for students. If you're going on faculty-led programs, those usually fall in the spaces between semesters, and the winter faculty-led short-term programs, those are part of spring semester. So you may actually go on your study abroad program and you'll be back and spring semester is billed. That's when you're going to see your charges show up on your account, as well as your financial aid. So your program is going to be done and you're going to be back in the country before you see the bill. And that usually happens with May programs as well, because May is part of summer session. So those short-term programs in May, you'll probably be back in early June, and then you'll get your bill and your financial aid. So that's especially when the deferred payment program may be helpful. So know your billing periods and when you're going to see those charges. If you're on a summer program, they will be billed with UMD summer charges. Let's see, what else is in. So we talked about when you're going to be billed and on the schedule, and your scholarship awards will come in. Those awards that are made through UMD will be put on your account as well at the same time financial aid is released. So one other thing I'll mention is UMD tuition billing is the tool that we use for study abroad billing, but it's not that easy to interpret at times. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole, because all of those study abroad definitions are not included on your bill. So sometimes it can be a little hard to interpret what's on your bill. So we have this little sample that you can click on down here that will give you a snapshot of most study abroad charges. All of these won't show on your account, but what study abroad charges look like. And over here, we've explained what they are. So you may find out these charges on our website, but when you get your bill, they're going to look like that. And sometimes it's hard to make the connection, what those charges are. And we're always willing and available to help interpret your bill too. So I guess that's all I have to really say about billing. Is there questions from our attendees?
There's none in the chat.
Does anyone want to turn on their mics and ask any questions or any other comments or ways we can help?
And Cathy, do you want to show the slide with Theresa's contact information?
Oh, yeah. Let's see, I have to switch my share. So there's Theresa's contact information if you want to talk specifically about your own situation.
And on the One Stop page, you'll find this link under the help. You're under the top under contact us. And there are multiple ways to reach us. You could Zoom with us, make a walk-in appointment, call, email, and we have a chat now as well. So we are happy to see you, and know there may be a lot of questions, and no question is stupid. You know, we've seen this, had lots of questions, you know, year after year, and that's what we're here for.
All right, thanks, Theresa. Well, we're standing by. If you have any comments or questions, we're here.
And thank you everyone for joining us. I will actually stop recording now.